I can't picture the exact outfit she wore that evening. Maybe it was that pale blue blouse she always reached for, maybe just a loose sweatshirt. The memory is foggy, blurred by the shock of what came after. What's etched into me like glass, though, is her voice, steady, almost careless, when she said it. I'm going on a trip with Daniel. She spoke the words while ladling pasta onto her plate, as if she hadn't just shattered the ground beneath my feet. Daniel. Her ex. My fork froze in the air. The room went silent except for the steady tick of the wall clock, each sound matching the heavy thud of my heart. She noticed my expression, frowned, and asked, "What?" I forced a swallow, my throat dry as sand. "Say that again." "You heard me," she muttered, twirling her noodles like this was a harmless thing. "It's just a short trip. We're still friends. I thought you trusted me." Friends. The word sliced deep. Daniel had always been a shadow in her life, never quite erased. But a trip with him? I steadied my voice, keeping it calm even over my dead body. For words. Firm. Quiet. Final. She blinked at me, surprised, like she had expected me to roll over the way I usually did. But something inside me shifted that night. The unraveling had begun. We'd been married 6 years. Long enough for patterns to form, for annoyances to fade into background noise, for trust to settle in like a second skin. I loved her. God knows I did. But love had made me blind. The signs had been there. The late-night texts she brushed off as work chatter. The sudden obsession with looking polished before yoga. The secret smiles at her phone followed by a quick lock screen when I entered the room. I convinced myself I was paranoid. I told myself suspicion had no place in a marriage, that trust was everything. But trust isn't indestructible. It's delicate, breakable. All it takes is one crack. Her announcement about Daniel wasn't just a crack, it was a hammer blow. "You're overreacting," she snapped, folding her arms across her chest. "It's just a trip. We're adults." I stared at her. Was this really the woman I married? Defending the idea of a getaway with her ex? Why him? I asked. Her eyes darted away. "Because he understands me. We've stayed close." The word understands landed like a punch. Wasn't that supposed to be my role? My voice didn't waver when I asked, "Are you sleeping with him?" My hands shook under the table, but my tone was steady. For a split second, her lips parted, and guilt flickered across her face. Then she shook her head too quickly. "No, don't be ridiculous." But the hesitation said more than words ever could. I didn't confront her then. I already knew. Over the next weeks, I stayed quiet and observant. She held her phone like it was oxygen. She worked late but never came home exhausted. And one night, thinking I was asleep, I heard her whispering into the phone, voice soft, intimate. I checked the phone bills. Daniel's number lit up the records again and again. The rage inside me wanted to explode. But betrayal teaches you restraint. It makes you plan. The breaking point came one evening when she breezed in glowing, lighter, happier than I'd seen her in months. She dropped her purse and twirled once in the kitchen. "What's got you smiling?" I asked, my voice colder than I intended. She hesitated, then confessed. "Daniel and I booked the tickets." I laughed, bitter and hollow. "So that's it. You didn't even care what I thought." Her face hardened. "You don't own me. I'm allowed to have friends." "Friends don't book romantic trips together," I shot back. "You're jealous. Controlling. That's unattractive, you know." I stared at her, something breaking wide open inside me. And then I snapped. "I'm done." Her eyes widened. "What do you mean?" "You want Daniel? Take him. But you won't have both of us." That night, I moved into the guest room. She tried to twist the narrative. "You're overreacting. You're throwing away our marriage over nothing." But her words only pushed me further. The next morning, I called a lawyer. Panic replaced her defiance. She cried, begged, swore nothing physical had happened. But I had already seen the truth. In her hesitation. In the radiance she carried after being with him. She had left me long before I uttered those final words. 2 weeks later, confirmation arrived like a knife to the chest. A loyal friend met me at a cafe and slid a manila envelope across the table. Inside, photographs. My wife and Daniel, holding hands, kissing, walking into a hotel together. My fingers trembled as I flipped through the evidence. I thought you should know, my friend said softly. I nodded, unable to speak. Inside me raged a storm of grief, fury, and yes, relief. At least now I knew. When I confronted her, the last of her defenses crumbled. No excuses left. Just a flood of broken apologies. It was a mistake, she whispered, clutching at my arm. I love you. I pulled away. No. You love the stability I give you. Not me. If you did, you wouldn't have needed him. The divorce was ugly, as divorces always are. She fought tooth and nail for the house, the car, the money. I let the lawyers handle it. I didn't care about the things. I cared about the betrayal. About the 6 years wasted. About the nights I held her while she secretly longed for someone else. The last time I saw her was in the courthouse hallway. She looked smaller, worn down. Can't we fix this? She asked one last time. I studied her, the woman I once loved more than anything, and realized the truth. Our marriage had ended the night she told me about that trip. Everything after had been ashes. No, I said quietly. We can't. And I walked away. A year has passed. Some nights, I still wake and reach for her out of habit. Some mornings, the silence of the kitchen feels suffocating. Betrayal leaves scars that don't fade quickly. But slowly I'm healing. And when I look back at that night, the night she casually announced she was going away with her ex, I think of the words I said. Calm, firm, final. Over my dead body. Those words were the start of my freedom. Because sometimes the quietest lines carry the loudest truth.